Alright. Hello. Chainsaw Man chapter 213 came out today, and we are going to talk about it. So, the chapter opens with Denji on the bed thinking about things, and Yoshida comes through the roof or the outside the window to call for Denji. He thanks Denji for allowing him to go to school because he was assigned to stalk Denji in the public high school. So right away, there's a bit of a red flag here because in part one, we knew that Yoshida already told Kishibe that he was attending school. So this isn't the first time that Denji. I'm sorry, this isn't the first time Yoshida's been to high school, as far as we know. So he's already kind of lying here. Um, Denji asks if Yoshida's gonna ask him for favors as well, and Yoshida responds by bringing him pizza. So they go inside and eat the pizza. And Denji is reminded of Aki and that Yoshida is just watching him eat, and Aki used to watch him and Power eat. So I think I mentioned this way back in the beginning of part two, in that because one of the first things that Yoshida did to Denji was to sit on him. So there's a bit of a parallel here to Aki when he sat on Denji. That's when their relationship really started getting closer. So at first I thought like sitting on Denji is like a sign of friendship, but this idea was never really that fleshed out. Cause Denji and Yoshida kind of reminiscent about like their school days, but we don't really see them spend any time together for the most part. Like Yoshida talked about how they were harassed by a bunch of hooligans, delinquents, and then before Denji can hurt them with his chainsaws, Yoshida just knocked them out. We never saw that. I don't think there is a small time skip in part two, right when right after the first Falling Devil fight. So that could have been when it happened, but this has always been my biggest critique about part two is that in a arc called the Academy arc, we really don't see them go to school much at all. So I think Yoshida's farewell goodbye would make a lot more if we actually, see him hang out with Denji. But anyways, Yoshida offers Denji a handshake. Denji accept. Sorry, Denji took his handshake. Denji, I think at this point, Denji is just a bit happy that there's someone that seemed to be genuinely enjoying him and not just using him, not just having a transactional relationship with him. Denji shakes his hand and Yoshida fucking explodes. He says his role is to be a switch. I don't think that's referring to his and Denji's relationship. That's more of a switch to, I guess, to blow up Denji. So yeah, from a narrative perspective, it seems like this is going to be the last time that we will see Yoshida ever. He says his goodbye to Denji and blows up, explodes. I don't know how I feel about that. I think this would be a bit of a disappointing end to Yoshida as a character. Um, because Fujimoto does do a bit of a anticlimactic finish for a lot of characters, but I feel like there is more to Yoshida than this. But we'll come back to that maybe in a bit. So why did Yoshida blow himself up? So previously, we know that Yoshida wanted to turn Denji into a chainsaw for Yoru. So I guess he blew himself up to weaken him so that when Yoru arrives, she can easily turn him into a chainsaw. But that being said, there's a bit of a missing part for me in that I'm not sure why it has to be him, because there are probably other ways to weaken cripple Denji than to for this guy to blow himself up. I do think that's I'm not sure why it specifically had to be Yoshida here. Um yeah, but anyways, I guess the end goal is for Denji Chainsaw to be able to defeat the Death Devil and to end death for all of humanity. Um Another thing is that the Reze movie comes out in about 2 weeks in Japan, and we have another bi-weekly break. So the next chapter is gonna come out in 2 weeks. So maybe Fujimoto was trying to line up the releases of both the movie and the Return of Reze for the two to sync up for a bit of a marketing purposes. I know some other manga does that sometimes when they're maybe if like they have an anime that's coming out and a character is prominent in it, they might feature that character more in the correspondent manga chapter, but maybe. But otherwise, another fun detail was in the beginning of the chapter when Denji was thinking about Bammy, or I'm sorry, the now Death Devil, and Fumiko. And for the Death Devil, he actually mentally fills in the gap between her chest. So it didn't even register to him that she was missing like 1/3 of her middle torso. So all Denji thought about was her legs. He let his imagination does the rest. But yeah, anyway, some comments from last week's, or not last week, I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago's chapter discussion. Mumby says that he usually reading manga, he struggled to imagine it being adapted to anime, but Fujimoto has such a good way of making it feel like a show like that chapter. Yeah, Fujimoto, I think the biggest strength for Fujimoto, for the most part, is his ability to recreate, like, pace this manga like a live action movie. How do I say this? Like he makes his panel feel like actual cameras. I think the best representation of that is Goodbye Eri for sure, just because like the frames, the panels are literally positioned as a camera. Like kinetically, it's a camera. That's from that. But for Chainsaw Man, the first time that I really like felt the impact of Fujimoto's panel control was in chapter I want to say 12 or 13. It's the one where Makima gave the exposition to Denji on the Gun Devil's attack, and then you like cut from a flashback because at first the Aki flashback he wasn't named, and the way Fujimoto draws some characters like make them look like NPCs. So as the first flashback was going on, you didn't, at least I didn't realize it was Aki as a child. And then at the end of that chapter, it had like a transition from the small Aki to big adult Aki, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. Hook 2099 also says the STD devil is the first devil that he don't want to see. And I'll be honest, I feel like most devils already look like STD devils. I actually do want to see what Fujimoto does with it, because like 90% of the devils out there are like guts and like body parts. So I struggle to think how much worse the STD devil could be. But yeah, otherwise, I also got a few comments on the Fumiko video. People going back after the Fumiko devil reveal. Uh, but yeah. Let's see if we have any chats for the week. Hello, short and sweet chapter. Chapter starts with Denji after jerking off. I don't know if he did that actually, because he might be going through some post-nut clarity. I don't think he did. He could have, but I don't think there's anything to really suggest that he did that. Let's see. Oh, this Denji didn't even notice the big gash, and yeah, he completely ignored the whole massive hole in her. Switch in relationship means someone that goes between S and M. Yes, unless Yoshida had the bomb on his pizza, Fujimoto deliberately left a rese nod with the movie coming up. Yes, yes, yes. Like how Denji shows small signs of growth. I feel like that was always there from part one to begin with. I'll talk about that in a bit in the future. But today a trailer was released for Fujimoto's 6 one-shots. Yes, yes. And it's something I'm pretty excited about. I actually recorded a video of myself reviewing all the one-shots, but that's in editing hell. I have so many things that's editing through and just not publishing them. Where Yoshida mentions an event that we didn't see. We seen Yoshida interact with Denji, with Asa showing up. Yeah, because I went through some of the earlier chapters to see if, like, I was just forgetting something. I was just forgetting this moment. None of that happened, as far as I can tell. I think another way to interpret this chapter was also just that Denji was just going along with whatever Yoshida was saying, because he didn't really, from what we sing of part two, he didn't really get along with Yoshida that much. He doesn't care about Yoshida, so he's just happy with his pizza and then nod and chew. Could be. Felt like when he mentioned switch, it's like a light switch to show where the death people or death faction is located. Yeah, yeah. Possibly. Because he, as we went over at the end, he does want Denji to be turned into a chainsaw to stop death. So I think it's like pretty sure he's helping Yoru out, but my biggest question is still why him specifically? Why not just, send like a rocket launcher to Denji and whatnot? But yeah, let's see. We seen Yoshida been sheltered by a tentacle, so since we haven't seen anything about Yoshida's past, you doubt he is dead. Yeah, I think it would be pretty weird for him to die now, but at the same time, his farewell to Denji was pretty. It does seem pretty final. He had a whole spiel about the last time they'll see each other. Fujimoto doesn't do that a whole lot, so you would think that the few times that he does, it might be meaningful. But, at the same time, we did go over that Yoshida is kind of lying to begin with, so who knows? But the Resi movie comes up in September 19th, and chapter comes out in September 16th. So they are going to, if they're going to show Resi, next chapter is the time. Yes. That being said, I did feel that I'm not sure if Fujimoto is like someone that cares about the release dates of like coordinating the release dates of certain things. Like, I don't know if he go as far as to change the story just to match that promotional date. He could be, but I don't think it's like a deadline for Reze's appearance. Like, even if she doesn't show up next chapter, I do feel there's still a chance in the future. Although it does seem that we are approaching the end of part two somewhat. Let's see. You notice that Denji always remembers Power and Aki when he looks back at a happier time. We don't see that with Nayuta. That is a good point. We don't see a whole lot of flashback with Nayuta when he's reminiscing. I do feel that that's another issue I do have with part two as a whole. I just wanted to see more of Nayuta in general. Um, but I do think it does make sense for Denji to like parallel Aki with Yoshida, just because they're both, taller men with black hair. Whereas if he meets like a little girl at some point, maybe he will think of Power Nayuta more than Aki. Um, let's see. But yeah, I guess that's about most of what I have to talk about for the week. Um, again, this is a pretty quick chapter. The first couple pages, nothing really happened there. Yeah, so Yoshida showed up, gave pizza, blew himself up, as you do. Uh, yeah, so I guess we will come back in 2 weeks for to see why he decided to do that. Honestly, bit of a jerk move. I hate it when my friends blow themselves up during dinner. Very inconsiderate. But yeah, that's all I got for the week. I'll see you guys in another 2 weeks. Back to back bi weekly break. Kinda rough.